Next time you're in Dollar Tree, head on over to the Crafter Squares section and grab you some of their wood pallets. And usually I tell you to grab more than one because there's always a ton of things to do with them. For this project though, we're gonna need four of these particular pallets. We're gonna be creating a riser with them. And this sucker is pretty big. We'll measure it in just a minute. First of all, we're gonna need to attach these suckers. And I'm pulling out some of these little popsicle sticks that I had already cut up in my stash. You guys can use whatever you want to attach your pieces. I like using popsicle sticks. And we're gonna cut these suckers down. And look at me busting out my little container being prepared today, because normally I just cut them and then they wing all over the room and I gotta go spend 5 minutes figuring out where they went. But I was prepared. Look at me. Aren't you all proud? Anyhow, I grabbed my Titebond Quick and Thick to attach these pieces on here. You really just need them long enough to go over the gaps in between the pallets, okay? And a little squirty squirt, and then press them suckers down. And you can put this to the side and let it sit, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna bust on out the stapler because I need some extra added support. And I've been doing this for years at this point, and this is just my favorite way, realistically, to connect them. And because I'm often asked, I thought I'd take a second and show y'all the stapler. It's an arrow stapler. It's super easy to use, and I like it because I have hand grip strength issues. I've been using this for years. I'm often asked what it is, where did I get it, because I don't always show the logo, but I picked mine up from Home Depot. If you don't have a Home Depot local to you, you can pick it up off Amazon. And if you're interested, I have mine linked down in my link tree or in my Amazon affiliate link underneath my YouTube videos. Once everything was all stapled together, I grabbed this beautiful piece of trim I also picked up from Home Depot. Okay, I don't know if you can get that off Amazon or not, but I had this in my stash and I just trimmed it down. You could use tumbling tower blocks to create the edge if you want to. It's completely up to you. To cut this down, I'm gonna bring on in my miter shears and just snip it down to the size that I marked with the little pencil here. And I'm going to attach those pieces prior to doing the edges. So I'm just going to kind of attach these, pop those off to the side, and I'm going to use my Titebond Quick and Thick to do that. And then I'm also going to take the stapler, and if you do not want to use the stapler for this, because you got to be careful, you got to be precise, you want to just put clamps on here and have it hold and dry, that would work too. Or if you want to use your hot glue and your Titebond, this is just how I chose to go about the project. You guys take that information and utilize it with what works best for what you have at home. Just keep in mind that it is wonky and you are stapling on a side. Okay, you're stapling it on a side because I did the very thin lip of the trim. And again, this is going to vary depending on what type of trim you decide. And if you want to put tumbling blocks on there, you can skip that all together. You put them on top of the piece. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And you can also cut these on 45s on the corners. I did not. I was being lazy and I wasn't worried about the gap being in there because I was going to put antique wax over to give it like that rustic finish, but I'm doing a whitewash. Then the rust. I wasn't worried about the corners. If you're worried about them, you 45 it, or you make sure you measure them up. You'll see mine. It looks beautiful the way that it is. And if I'm being honest, I kind of was really feeling this in the natural. I really liked it being natural, and you could leave it like this. However, I wasn't going to do that. I needed to figure out. Now I spent like an hour or two, and I even requested some help online, and the comments were so split, man. They were so split. I was really feeling these joints because it's a big piece. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, these will work best. And then I'm like, oh, but we need a little fancy schmancy. So I was like, maybe we'll go with these. And just for a little perspective, I busted out my teeny tiny tape measure that I have from Kendra over at Late Night Creations. Are y'all hanging out with Kendra? Y'all know she's amazing, right? If you're not, tell her I said hi. If you hop on over there, tell her Brandy said hi and thank you for my tape measure. Okay, because I never get to measure things because I don't know where stuff is, but today I knew where that was. People, this was 16 inches. Okay, so look at these joints. Look at those. Look at them. These are our options. All right, now let me know right now. I'm gonna pause the video here. Go in the comments for me. Tell me which one you would have picked, the long or the fancy. Go ahead, pause it. Y'all didn't know you were signing up for an interactive video today when you clicked on this joint, did you? I went with the fancy ones, y'all. And these are just the large wood snowmen from Dollar Tree, y'all. Just pop them upside down. I actually got this idea from Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs. I think they look perfect. And then I painted it up with some white and added some antique wax, and I think this looks amazing. It's such a large piece. There is plenty of room to hold all kinds of things, which make it perfect to go right in the center of the table, or you could put it right in the middle of an island. I think as a crafter, sometimes one of the hardest things to do is keep it simple, especially when we're going to create a DIY for our home. But these large blanks from Dollar Tree allow us to do that really easily. Now, they are a little rough around the edges, and sometimes I sand them down and sometimes I don't. But for this one, I did because I wanted to create a little scene piece using some transfers. And I wanted to start off just by taking some Waverly white chalk paint and putting a coat all over the piece. You can absolutely use multi-surface. It's completely up to you, or whatever paint you want, really. The questions I'm going to answer should hopefully help you do this at home, no matter what paint you're prepping your piece with. Now, I wanted to make this a little rough around the edges, so I brought on in my finger sander and gave it a nice shave down. Now I'm showing you here what I'm going to do, but I didn't want to get sawdust all over my area, so I took it off to the side over the trash can. And I let my piece dry 24 hours before sanding it down, so keep that in mind. If you don't want to wait, you can grab some Mod Podge polyurethane, completely up to you what sealer you want. But you want to apply it over your paint. It doesn't matter what kind of paint, you want to apply it over before you go to use the transfers. And for anyone decoupaging or transferring furnitures or using stickers, the amount of questions I have gotten over the years: stop using a heat gun. Are you using a heat gun? And I will stand on this hill. I will stand on it, and y'all can fact check me. I don't care who says use a heat gun. The only time you use a heat gun is if you're drying up paint. And even if you're drying up paint, if you plan on putting decoupage or a sticker or a transfer over it, absolutely let it dry naturally. I know that that's painstaking, but this is why. Sometimes that heat gun will trap moisture underneath and then it will expand later. And sometimes the sealants will dry before the surface. A thick application of the medium can also cause it to react when you're heating it up. In addition, some sealants are water-based, so when you heat them up, it's like warming up a pot of water. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna get bubbles. So if you're struggling applying transfers, if you're struggling applying decoupage, if you're experiencing bubbles later on that weren't there when you initially started, but you used a heat gun, stop it. Okay, stop it. Once our piece is dried completely natural, we're going to grab some of my TDS creative transfers. And these are called Ode to Toil. You can grab them on my website at DIYstruggle.com. I trimmed out a few pieces and just layered the bottom piece of this wood. And you'll notice here, and I made sure I did not speed this up. I did not cut this in any way, shape, or form. This is real time for you to see that if done properly, especially with my transfers, my backing on mine is super sticky. These are going to be a once and done as long as you follow the protocol. But if you're doing whatever you want to do willy-nilly, then you're going to experience issues. And I made sure to also add a couple little extra edits in here so you see that that just wasn't a chance thing. It's really how easy it is. Absolutely flawless, and you will get the same result with your decoupage as well. It's been my experience that decoupage and transfers will both apply magically if you let them dry naturally. I've been saying it for years. I know y'all hate me for it, but I promise you, you'll love your projects more because of it. There are so many items to pick from Dollar Tree when you're doing a Build-A-Bear piece. That's what I'm calling this, a Build-A-Bear piece. I was standing this out for quite some time, grabbing items. I'm like, this might work, this might work. I wasn't really sure where I was going with my little mini shelf I wanted to build. Even when I got back to the house, I'm like laying it out. Before I started filming, I must have redid these pieces and other items so many times before I got settled. But after a minute, I settled on this style. I went with, now if you can find the one, I couldn't find the one without the little holes, I would have been happier, okay? but we're gonna need 5 of these. And initially I wanted to build a house, a little hanging house with this. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get there. So I grabbed 2 of these pieces because they had the backing, and it's just like wood hanging decor, nothing special, right? Had the 2 hanging pieces in the back. So this way, if I wanted to hang this on the wall, I could. And then we're gonna need a couple of the tumbling blocks, and we're gonna need some popsicle sticks. Well, a lot of popsicle sticks, really. And again, this depends on how you choose to build it. This is how I want it to go about it with my vision here. So I need to create a brace for the shelves because, yeah, we could just use it as it is. However, I want to be able to create another shelf. So at the end of the day, it'd be 10 little mini shelves right here. And I also want to cover over this. So if we're hanging it or we're displaying it sitting down, you're not going to see these tacky little holes, which, you know, that's what these are going to help with. So to set the brace to be able to sit another shelf on, we're going to use the tumbling blocks. I needed to find the middle. I never bust out. I never bust out tape measures, but my friend Kendra over at Late Night Creations had sent me this, and I have it near me, so we're utilizing it for this project. I found what I felt was the middle, and I marked with pink on the tape measure to keep the spots. And then I went in each box and marked. So this way, the middle shelf that we're going to put our brace in here for to create is going to all roughly be about the same size, maybe off a centimeter or 2, but I think I did pretty good doing this. Then we're just going to take some Tip-On Quick and Thick. You can use whatever glue. You could use wood glue if you don't have this, okay? And hot glue, because we're going to need that immediate hold, or else these are just going to floop right off where we're trying to stick them. So get some good glue, get some hot glue, and then pop them where you put your marker, and do that for each one of these little pieces. This is going to be painstaking. It's going to take a minute, okay? But you got this. When you're done, you'll have your extra little shelf lip for your minis. Okay, I hope whoever's watching this loves minis as much as I do, because you can do so much with this idea. Okay, not just this style. Next, we're going to take our piece and get rid of that twine. You can put that back in later if you want. It's completely up to you. We need to find the center of our boards. So I just use piece of paper, measure it however you would like. I put the little boxers you've seen, and then I put the second piece next to it, and then just carried on with our line. So this way it was completely straight once I attached the top and the bottom. I took more of the Tip-On Quick and Thick and hot glue to line everything up. Now keep in mind that these boxes with the 5 of them, if you have these exact pieces, they do not fit right at the edge to fill the piece. And you see me here realizing, oh snap, that isn't right. Okay, I would have had way too much of a gap on one side. It's literally like 2 centimeters off from each side. So I just had to rip that sucker off and then place that down like 2 centimeters from the edge. And then I continued placing the boxes so they're evenly spread in the center instead of having more of one gap to the other side. And I know some of yous are being triggered right now. Like, is she going to leave them stickers on the back? I'm not an animal, y'all. I'm not an animal. I'm taking them off. Okay, taking them off. Calm down. Then I just attached the top using the same method, and I made sure to put the boxes inside where I put our little line. Now, as you see me flip this, okay, so I had 2 visions in my mind. One, this one, because I want to put this inside my shelf to have more stuff to put on, and then the other one is the hanging one, which is why I also have the hanging mechanisms on there, because I wanted to put 3 boxes on the top and then create a house on the top. So that might be in a future video. If you see somebody else do it, as my idea first. I'm just saying. I spared y'all the struggle of me cutting all these popsicle sticks, okay? But I showed you just this little clip so you get the idea. I snipped the edges. I measured. I got popsicle sticks, lots of them. And to save me the y'all can paint your popsicle sticks however you want, but I promise you this is the quickest and easiest way when you got a lot of little bits that are thin like this. Even dowels. I love doing this for dowels. You just take your masking tape or your painter's tape, put on a piece of paper, and then spread them joints out, and then you put your paint on there. Now I wanted to get a little artsy fartsy with the paint here, and I'm not going to show you guys all of it because it took me about 2 hours to paint this piece. Okay, I want to do a little stain art on it because I want to mix some green with the rustic of the brown. And again, you can skip this. You can just paint your piece all one color. But for anybody wanting to do some stain art, this is what I did. And you see me watering down my acrylic paint even more. Okay, so you want to water down whatever color acrylic paint. And I was at the end of mine, so I didn't really care about pouring water in the piece. And then once I did a little dusting over the popsicle sticks, I then figured or picked a wood grain section on the top of our piece, and I followed along that. And even if you mess up, see how like the paint was so watery, it was leaking over, it's fine. You can color over that with the next color. So all I did was really blend this in, stay with the line, and then I did the same thing for the Antique Waverly Wax. Now, where this gets into the art of it is you're not just painting it one here, you're using water to blend and create different fades like an ombre throughout each grain of wood. So the grain of wood stands out a little bit deeper. And this is just, again, how I wanted to do this piece. I just felt like I hadn't did a piece like this in quite some time. So I just wanted to share that you can do this on Dollar Tree. It doesn't just have to be on fancy wood pieces, furniture, live edge wood. I know I've done this so many different times in different ways over the years, but you can absolutely do this on a piece of Dollar Tree. Don't think you have to spend a lot of money or upcycle a piece of anything to be able to get creative like this. This is not completely dry, but this was at the point where I was like, I gotta get these little shelves in here, y'all. Gotta get the shelves, okay? So I put my wood glue at the bottom and I put it on the edge of the little lips, and I saved y'all. This actually took me 2 days to fully build, not including the painting. Okay, it was a little painstaking, but it turned out so cute, and I still want to build my house. So I'm probably gonna do this again, okay? But hopefully I find the other boxes next time so I can skip having to put a floor at the bottom. I think this turned out so cute. Look at those little pieces. Look better once they're dry. Now, I didn't like the front. Okay, we had to add something. So I had this little piece of decorative trim, plain decorative trim, sitting off to the side from Home Depot. And I just cut it down to size and grabbed one of my little wood appliques that I have on my website and put right in the center. I used some wood glue to attach everything, or my Type-On Quick and Thick. And for the life of me, I don't know where I've hidden my large clamps or my rubber bands. So I had to rig this joint up like a crafter does and wing that stuff. Okay, wing that, because I just, you know, masking tape, and I was figuring it out. It worked. It survived, okay? It lived till the next day, and then I painted the front of it and put it in my little staging, y'all. I love this, and look how the pink accents it. I'm so absolutely happy with this piece. I did pop on some gold gilding wax to bring out some of them accents, and I just love how the gold pieces that I put around the little mini shelf, just it ties in. I'm so tickled with this piece. Let me know in the comments if I got any mini lovers, if anybody is going to be making themselves a little mini shelf. You can do so many things with this, y'all. You can cut that wood down to create the mini pieces and boxes and stack them however. Absolutely love it. If y'all are looking for more Dollar Tree inspiration, check out this video right here. And as always, people, thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you so much. Until next time.